So there is a movie coming out today in theaters that I'm really excited about. Not only is it a great sci-fi slash action flick, whatever you want to label it as, but it's also a faith-based film as well. And joining me from that film is an actor that's graced the big screen many, many times in big Hollywood films, such as The Minority Report, First Contact, Star Trek, Captain America, and many, many more. And pleased to have from the new film, The Shift, Neal McDonough. Neal, how are you doing today, man? Thanks so much for
Mm,
joining us.
Nice, Jake. Yeah, happy to be here. That's for sure.
Yeah, so I was actually watching. I'm a big movie buff, so I watch movies a lot. Of course, I've seen The Minority Report. I love Steven Spielberg, Tom Cruise. But one of the movies I watched recently that I had forgotten that you were in was Star Trek: First Contact, and I was watching it the other day with my son, and I'm like, "Oh wow, I'm going to be talking to that guy in a couple of days." So cool.
Yeah, that was Star Trek First Contact was kind of like my first big feature film. And to go through the rest of my life saying that I flew the Enterprise is kind of one of those check, did it, awesome. So to still be friends with all of those guys, I see Jonathan Frakes every once in a while, and he gave me the shot at playing, Lieutenant Hawk on that, and it was something I'll never forget, and I'm always so thankful to be part of the Star Trek universe. And as a kid, I thought Captain Kirk was everything. So there I am, flying the ship with it was amazing, to say the least.
Yeah, it was awesome. I got to meet Gates McFadden at a comic book convention lately, and she had the same things to say about her next generation crew. So that's really cool. And, we have you on here today because I'm really excited about this film. This film has been long been talked about, and it's finally out. It's called The Shift. Can you give us a brief synopsis of the movie and how you got involved with it?
In the shift, I play the benefactor, which is basically the devil. And when they came to me to play the devil, at first I said, absolutely not a chance. I'll play villains, but I'm not going that deep. And everyone knows I play villains because I won't do certain scenes. So generally, it's either I'm a war hero in the middle of nowhere, where there generally aren't any women around, or play the villain because I won't kiss another woman on screen. But when they asked me to play the devil, I was like, no. And my amazing, fantastic, beautiful, very intelligent wife said, well, hold on a second. Let's talk about this. So they want you to play the devil, and I'm not sure there's anyone in Hollywood who's a better villain than you, which is bizarre to think that you are the villain, honey. And I was like, thanks, honey. But then she said, I'm not sure, even more importantly, if anyone has the relationship with God in Hollywood for actors of your type better than you. So I think you actually have to play the devil, or else it'll go to someone else who may not be able to play certain levels. And one of the levels I wanted to do is by the end of the film, where you see the benefactor really be amazed that Kevin, the lead character, doesn't fall for my ways and will give everything up for God. And there's a moment that you see on my face for the devil, and you're like, oh, yeah, I used to believe that too. Why don't I still? And then all of a sudden, it goes back to being the dark devil again. But if that moment makes the devil makes him almost human for a moment, because we all have those moments in us that are dark and bad. 8 years ago, I decided I was going to give up alcohol because it wasn't the best thing in the world for me anymore. And in the last 8 years, I look at 5 films that we've produced, 3 films that I've written, so much TV series, another TV series are about to set up now. All these things that have happened because of clarity in my mind, but I want to make entertainment that glorifies him. And whether I play the good guy or the bad guy, I want to keep doing projects that glorify him and make us all think, how can I be better in my life? How do I not be like that guy? Or how can I be more like that guy or that gal? And to keep things as simple as that has been a real great successful lesson that I've learned over the years. You can only push so hard with certain things, but when you have something that's completely unique and different from everyone else, and you believe in it, and knowing that God has your back in that belief, nothing can really stop you. And everyone takes you so seriously because of your pursuit of excellence through that faith. And that's what's happening right now for Reve and I couldn't be more humbled because of it.
And I have to say it's kind of funny when you have, a Christian actor like yourself being able to play villains so well. And when I heard that you were playing this particular character in the film, I'm like, wow, this is going to be good. Neal McDonough is an amazing actor when it comes to those villain roles, and because you play him really well. And you play Damien Dark in the Arrow and the other DC comic shows, and in this one you play the Benefactor. How do you prepare for roles like this? Is it hard being like, I mean, everybody that I know that has met you or has talked to you says that you are this super nice guy, but your characters you play very well are the villain roles. I mean, how do you prepare for roles like that?
Well, earlier on when I decided I wasn't going to do any kissing or sex scenes, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. And then Walking Tall came along, and I went in for the meeting. They said we're offering you a role in Walking Tall. Come in and meet the director and hang out. I'm like, great. So we're going to meet the director. I'm like, yeah, this is going to be great. I love that. I'm going to play the Rock sidekick, and we're going to have a fun time. And he's like, oh no, no, we don't want you to be that. In fact, Johnny Knoxville is going to be playing that character. We want you to play the villain. The villain, I've never played a villain before, and except in Star Trek where I become a Borg, but that was all makeup. They said that's exactly why we think it'll be such a different thing for you, and no one is going to expect it, that you'd be perfect to play the villain. And at that moment, a kind of a light went off, thinking, okay, if I'm going to have a life in this business, especially with the kids, we wanted to have a bunch of kids, and now we have 5. That I have to make a living doing this. So I had to figure out how to be the best villain possible. And I steal from my mother-in-law. I say that all the time. How to be the best villain. But in seriousness, it's kind of there are certain things that I go through as a method actor and as an actor, and thought processes that differentiate my characters and how I get to a certain character one way or how I get to a certain character another way. And it's really interesting where I go and what I go through to play different characters as a method type of actor. So it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure. And I wouldn't suggest it for most people. But I will say this: playing the villains are actually easier than playing the good guys. The villains are kind of all just make believe, but the good guys you really draw from what has happened in your true real life. And when I play those guys, it's harder to get rid of that emotional baggage than it is for a villain. And I'm just blessed to be able to do a career where I get to, in the last few years, play almost all good guys. And this was the first time I got to jump back and play a villain again. It was, boy, what a villain to jump into.
Oh, definitely. And when we were getting these interviews set up and everything, my colleague Kelly Mead, who has said that this movie is one of the best action movies she's seen in years. It really rivals a lot of the films that Marvel and other big companies are putting out, but it has obviously the faith-based thing to it. The one thing that she said was she's like, I'm almost afraid that if I interview Neal, like his characters scare me. I'm gonna end up calling him by his the Damien Dark character, something like that. So she said, you take this one with Neal. I'll do the one with Christopher Palaha. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Chris is a lot more evil than I am in real life. Chris is one of the I adore that guy. He played Kevin so perfectly. He was like Jimmy Stewart and Cary Grant all wrapped up into one guy, because he plays the everyman really well. He listens so well. But everyone from Sean Astin to Billingsley to the whole cast was just, we're all dialed in because we all knew we were doing something kind of different and really important and great. And instead of those big, huge tentpole action films, we did an action film at a very much, a small budget, not a teeny budget, but a good budget to be able to do the job that we wanted to do without all the extra things that a big budget film would have. So by doing that, everyone realized from top to bottom, we're trying to do something really special and different that gives glory to him. And I get goosebumps on my arm just thinking about it. And it just permeated through the whole crew. And it was just one of those films that we knew it was going to be special. And look at all the ticket sales that have gone so far. I mean, it's just bonkers. And it's all Angel Studio. Angel Studio got behind this. What they did with Sound of Freedom was just incredible. Who would have thought that film would make $215 million in the box office? No way. And if it weren't for Angel, that never would have happened. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with The Shift and Homestead, which we just completed for Angel. And I've got Black Spartans, which will be coming out that's going to go on Angel. And The Last Rodeo that I know is going to end up there also. So the Harmon brothers, they're transparent on everything they do. Here's what we're doing. Here's the money. Here's the profits. Here's how we share it. Everyone's happy. So again, most of the streaming services don't do that. And
No.
my hat is off to everything, the honesty and the integrity of Angel Studios for allowing artists like us who want to make kind of elevated entertainment for him, and we have a home to be able to do it. I'm so grateful and thankful and humbled by it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and Angel Studios, like you said, they've put out a lot of great films lately. You know, when Sound of Freedom came out, there was a lot of backlash over the content of it. And I remember watching it for the first time, and it was like, wow, this movie is kind of hard to watch because of the truth in which it portrays. And Angel Studios took that on because that, as we both know, that was not originally going to be released by Angel Studios. That was, I think, it was
No,
released by Fox, which is owned by Disney, and Disney decided to drop it. And praise God, Angel Studios picked that up and it did better than anybody could have imagined. And Jim Caviezel just happened to be one of my favorite actors, so that didn't hurt that he
Jim's
was a part
awesome.
of the film as well.
Jim's terrific. Terrific. Yeah, it's great. It's just, Angel has figured something out that no one has done so far, and God bless him for doing it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, with this film, if you can share without major spoilers, is there a certain scene that you were not involved in that really stands out to you?
Boy, there's a moment in the film where Kevin sits there at his neighbor's place, and all of a sudden the kid starts singing a hymn. And the look on Chris's face of, oh, there are other believers. There is hope. I'm not absolutely crazy. That moment right there for Chris kind of encapsulates the whole film, where when we think there is no hope and it's just despair, he's there waiting for us. If when we think that there's nothing out there but bad things, he's there waiting for us with something great. When we think that there nothing good can come from something, out of nowhere, something beautiful emanates. And that's kind of that moment for Kevin in the film for me. And it just really resonated with me. Um, for me, acting wise, that very first scene that you see me, that long 9-page scene of me kind of telling Kevin what it's all about in the diner was the first scene we shot of the film. So to shoot a 9-page scene right out of the gates is kind of a huge thing. But for me, it really set the tone for everyone in the show. I was so prepared for it, and I just wanted to crush this thing. That everyone saw how hard I was working, how hard Chris was working. And from then on in, every shot, every time, everywhere, that whole crew was buzzing with excitement because they all knew we were doing something. It was like Super Bowl Sunday every day. We wanted to really make sure we did our very, very best, not just for the film, but to give glory to him. And that's that extra kick in the backside to make sure that you're focused and doing your job correctly. I think we
And
did.
yeah, I think so too. Well, Neal, in closing, the shift is out in theaters now, and when moviegoers go and see this movie, as you mentioned, a lot of the screenings are sold out for this weekend. So when people go and see this movie and the credits roll, what is it that you, as an actor, want them to take away the most after they leave the theaters?
For Ray and I, all of our films kind of have the same kind of feeling to it. We can talk about very dark issues or difficult issues, but it's hope in the face of despair. And just when you think that it is all despair in a film like this, hope is right there, and hope pulls you out of that despair every time if you allow it to. And that's the great part of it. This, and for me personally, it comes out today. Today also happens to be the 20th anniversary of our wedding, 20 years between Reve and I. So as a wedding gift, everyone out there, can we please make sure that The Shift is number one in the box office this weekend? Let's go out there and watch the film, buy extra tickets if you have to, go support the film because it's one of those films that you'll never regret ever supporting. I'm so proud of it. Reve so proud of it. We're all so proud of it. And go Angel, go Shift, and here we go.
Well, that's awesome. Well, happy anniversary. And I've
Thank you.
learned over the last 2 decades with marriage, happy wife, happy life. So, Neal, thank you so much for joining us today. We greatly appreciate it. I'm praying that the Lord can do big things with this film. And thank you so much, man. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you to everyone. Again, Angel Studios, to Dallas Jenkins, to Nick Logan, to everyone who's been there to support this film the whole way, to Brock, the director, and everyone. It's I'm so honored that you chose us help make this film and be part of it. So thank you, everyone. God bless you all.